Hey. Welcome to Chat with KST. I'm your girl, Kalila. Today, we are doing a quickie segment. A quickie segment in our show is where we jump into a brief topic and we go over it real quick. So that means we're here for a good time, not a long time. And today's topic is, of course, Johnathan Majors' first interview. All right. So this interview was on Good Morning America, and we're just going to basically talk about the whole Jonathan Major situation because they kind of break it down for us from detail to detail. And as we go down from the start to the finish, then we'll definitely discuss, right? So let me pull up the situation, the interview here. Let me just get it pulled up. Kind of crazy to kind of see what really happened with this man and his career based off of this situation because I don't think he deserved it. I really don't, based on the evidence that they do have looking at it introspectively. And I do apologize if you do hear some noise in the background. Just want to apologize in advance for that. So, according to the Shade Room, Jonathan Majors speaks out for the first time since guilty verdict. I'm surrounded by people who love me, but this has been a very hard and very difficult and confusing in many ways. So, let me play the clip for you guys.
And looking at you and understanding the gravity of the situation, a situation that I, in many ways, put myself in.
Your reaction to that verdict?
Shock. I was absolutely shocked and afraid. And I'm standing there, and the verdict comes down. I say, how is that possible? Based off the evidence, based off the prosecution's evidence, let alone our evidence. How is that possible?
But after only hours of deliberation, a jury of his peers.
So before we jump into what's going on in terms of the case, basically Jonathan Majors was found guilty for this situation as it pertains to his ex-girlfriend or whatnot for abusing her in the back of the car. Now we're going to watch in detail what really happened in the event, and then we as a collective are going to decide whether or not he should have been found guilty for this or not, regardless of whatever the courts may have said. So let's listen to the news report if you're on the podcast, the audio podcast, and let's watch it if you're on YouTube, right?
Peers agreed with prosecutors that he did physically injure his then girlfriend Grace Jabari in an incident last March.
What happened exactly? Do you know?
No, I don't know. But she's unconscious.
That 911
Something about sitting here.
Majors came hours after an argument broke out with Jabari in the back seat of an SUV when Majors received a text from another woman saying, "Oh, how I wish to be kissing you." Jabari testified that when she grabbed
So first thing first, right? He makes a 911 call saying that she's unconscious, right? He's like, he doesn't know what happened or how it happened, but that's what's going on with her. Now, in the beginning of the incident, we see, just painting the picture for those of you who are listening to the audio podcast, we see them in a car in a Suburban where Jonathan Majors is kind of combating whatever she's doing. And according to them, he got a text message on the phone saying that I want to be kissing you right now. She sees it and she wants to yank the phone from Jonathan Majors. So let me continue the clip.
the phone, Majors tried to get it back, fracturing her finger and giving her a cut behind her ear. She says
So while in the tussle to try to get the phone back from her, she fractures her finger and she gets a cut on her ear, according to the news report.
inside the car, you hit her in the face,
Yeah.
twist her arm behind her back, fracture her middle finger.
Yeah, that did not happen.
So the Girl accuses Johnathan Majors of hitting her in the face, twisting her finger and twisting her fracturing her finger and twisting her arm behind her back. Now, from the position that Johnathan Majors was in and the position that she was in, for those of you listening in the audio podcast, I don't feel like that was quite possible because he was standing outside the Suburban and she was kind of sort of looking like facing him. So how was he able to twist your hand behind your back? Or maybe she's saying that that happened before. But again, I'm just going off of the deets that I'm seeing right here in this clip.
How did those injuries come about?
I wish to God I knew. That would give clarity. That would give me some type of peace about it.
But you're confident you didn't
I have
cause
no
them.
question.
Surveillance video shows Majors.
So Johnathan Majors is like, look, honestly, I don't know how we got to that point where she did get those scratches and bruises. If I understood how she got the scratches and bruises, then I'd be able to provide you with clarity. I feel like it's like imagine you and your boyfriend getting into a tussle or whatever over something really petty, and sometimes you don't even realize that you may or may not have gotten a cut, you may or may not, or even if it's not a tussle, like sometimes you walk and you be like, hold on, what is this on my arm, where did I get this from, right? And it's something that scratched you and you didn't even realize what it was. But her bruises to me did seem very superficial for this man to be losing his entire career. But again, this is just me analyzing everything from what the news report is saying.
Getting out of the car, followed by Jabari, whom he then puts back inside the vehicle. What happens next is what the defense remains.
So she tries to get out of the car, right? So again, just to paint the picture, guys, for you listening, he gets a text message. They're having a scuffle about the phone. Who can get the phone? She's trying to grab the phone. Majors is trying to grab the phone back from her. Majors get out of the car. She's trying to get out of the car. Majors put her back into the car. And Johnathan Majors is now running down the street. Run, Forrest, run. He's running away from her, is what he's doing.
Remains focused on. Majors runs off, and Jabari chases after him.
And she is chasing after him. I think her name is Grace. Grace is chasing after Johnathan Majors. And it's like, why are you chasing after this man? One, my question to her is, if he fractured your arm or twisted your arm the way that you claim he did, why are you now chasing him? Shouldn't you be seeking assistant and help, medical assistance and medical help? Shouldn't you be calling 911? Why would you then chase him down the street?
If you watch those videos and you
Majors came hours after an argument broke out.
and you saw a black man chasing a young white girl down the street, screaming and crying, that man is going to be shot and killed.
And he's brought up a perfect point. If it was a black man chasing a white woman who was crying in the middle of NYC, that black man would have had some repercussions. So why is it okay for this white woman to chase this black man down the road when he's trying to get away from her? Right?
In the streets of New York City.
Major's defense team shared these photos, which he says show the injuries he received that night, which were deemed inadmissible in court.
So even his injuries, and as to why they were deemed inadmissible, I don't understand why. So that's to show that both parties, there was a scuffle for the phone because he does have an injury on his face and he does have an injury on his arm. So he said that there was a scuffle for the phone. So there is a perfect explanation as to why there were some superficial injuries for both parties. And that doesn't make Johnathan Majors guilty of any aggressive behavior.
How were you injured?
My injuries were a scratch on my hand, from clawing for the phone. And I had a gash on at the time I had a beard. Under my beard, I had essentially a fingernail scratch on my cheek. from pressure, and that bled overnight.
But prosecutors say Majors was the aggressor. District Attorney Alvin Bragg says.
So the prosecutor claims that Majors was the aggressor, but he too sustained injuries. And the injuries, as you can tell, would have been, like he said, from the clawing of the phone, right? Because it is on his arm.
The evidence presented throughout this trial illustrated a cycle of psychological and emotional abuse. In court, prosecutors pointed to a previous argument during which he knocked a candle to the floor.
I completely lost my temper in that moment and threw it all on the ground. And you saw,
as you're probably well aware, that people were saying, well, why was he telling this woman to be like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama?
It was me trying to give an analogy of what it is I'm aspiring to be. You know, these great men, Martin, President Obama, and trying to give a reference point to that. One of the things I also say is, like, I need her, in that case, Grace, to make the same sacrifices that I am making.
As you're probably well aware that.
Okay, so far, based on the deets that we got on the situation, right? Seeing the video footage, seeing everything, I'm kind of siding with Majors here, right? She saw the text message, she got upset, and she wanted to grab the phone. That to me is the aggressor in the situation. Johnathan Majors, based on what I'm seeing here in this news report, seems to try to control the situation by getting back his phone and saying, hey, I'm leaving this car. You stay here. And he literally ran down the street. That to me is not someone who is an aggressor. That to me is not someone who yanked your finger or bent your finger. That to me is not someone who twisted your arm behind your back. Now we're going to jump into an explanation for where Major says he asked Grace to be a Coretta Scott King, where he asked her to be a Michelle Obama. And I think where he's coming from when he says that is to have class and grace, when I think he tries to ask her to do these things. And we're going to hear his reasoning behind why he asked her to do it. And then we're going to hear the recording of him asking her to do it. So let me pull that back up for us here. And here is his explanation.
Some who question, especially in the Black community, as you're probably well aware, that people were saying, well, why was he telling this woman to be like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama?
It was me trying to give an analogy of what it is I'm aspiring to be. You know, these great men, Martin, President Obama, and trying to give a reference point to that. One of the things I also say is, like, I need her, in that case, Grace, to make the same sacrifices that I am making.
Through it all, Major's new girlfriend, actress Megan Good, has remained by his side, even present for our interview. How would you describe your relationship?
Well, she's an angel. She's held me down like.
Some who question, especially in the Black community, as you're probably well aware, that people were saying, well, why was he telling this woman to be like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama?
It was me trying to give an analogy of, like a Coretta, you know? I'm so blessed to have her, you know? The relationship is still fresh, but, you know, I think I found her. Like a Coretta, you know? I'm so blessed to have her.
My travel block.
Okay, so he talks about his current girlfriend. Sorry about that. I had a couple distractions. He talked about his current girlfriend, Megan Good, saying that he's so blessed to have her. Now, here is a clip of him asking his ex-girlfriend to be like Michelle Obama or Coretta Scott King. Let me play it for you guys.
All that said, right? I'm gonna say I'm a great man, a great man. I am doing great things, not just for me, but for my culture and for the world. That is actually the position I'm in. That's real. I'm not being a dick about it. I didn't ask for it. I've worked, and that's the situation. The woman that supports me, that I support, that needs to be a great woman and make sacrifices the way that man is making for her and for them ultimately. Last night, 2 nights ago, you did not do that. You did not do that.
I'm sorry.
Which took away from the plan. And the plan is everything. If it was just you in the house drunk, maybe I could have swallowed it. Or I would have felt bold enough like, oh babe, let's just go to bed. My shit, my trauma, blah, all that said, right? I'm not saying I'm a great man.
And here it is, right? And I think what happened here with, and it's a couple things that I do have to dissect, right? Even though I had that distraction there, I wanted to just dissect a couple things. First, he talks about Megan Good being a very good woman to him, and I think when you do fall on your face and you do have someone there to support you and hold you up and lift you up and say, hey, yo, babe, I got your back, regardless of what the naysayers are saying, regardless of what the deals are that you are losing, regardless of what's going on with you, I got you. It's very reaffirming to have someone accept you and love you for you, especially at your worst moments, right? Because it's easy to find someone who can love you at your best. It's easy to find someone who can who can have fun with you when you're on the top. But when you do hit rock bottom, not many people are going to be there to help you through those dark tunnel moments, right? So I think that's why he does praise his girlfriend, his now current girlfriend, Megan Good, for kind of holding him down throughout this whole process. Now, honestly, this is just my opinion. When Megan Good was seen out with Johnathan Majors after this incident, I was a little bit like side eyeing the situation because I'm like, Megan, how you gonna end up over there now with this man after all he's been through? And then I have to now question myself like, that's true love. You know, that's what happens when you love someone. You stand by them through thick or thin. You accept them in those moments where they don't really have much or they aren't at their best this time. So I'm kind of actually happy that Megan is by his side and has been by his side throughout this whole process. It kind of shows him that, hey, not all women are like that. And I think he actually got what he was looking for, that Michelle Obama, that Coretta Scott King, that person who will make sacrifices. And I think what, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but I think based on what he's saying, I think the prosecution and this lady Grace, this white lady, tried to do is say he's asking her to basically make sacrifices as if he abused and attacked her. And because he abused and attacked her, he's trying to ask her to make sacrifices to shut up and not say anything. And I think that kind of shows a little bit of, I wouldn't say racism, but a little bit of BS on the prosecution's part. Because if you think about Michelle Obama and Coretta Scott King, Michelle Obama was never known for any abuse in the Obama ministry. She was never. It was that has there was no scandal there, and I think that's what Johnathan Majors was saying. You have to learn how to have the emotional capacity to handle things like a text message from a random person saying, oh, I would like to kiss you or whatever, knowing and understanding that I'm your man and your man is going to have women who desire your man, and you're going to have to check your feelings and you're going to have to gracefully sometimes put your man in his place, because that's what strong powerful women do. Strong powerful women aren't insecure little girls who feel like you got a text message, well, you know what, who's that texting your phone, blah 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 blah, and start to create this chaos where there is none needed. Strong powerful women gracefully say, hey, you got a message on your phone. I don't like the message. Delete the message. Check that at the door and don't let it happen again. That is what graceful women look for. And I think that is the response that Johnathan Majors was looking for. Somebody who can gracefully deal with difficult situations and not allow their um emotional their emotional temper tantrum to literally ruin his career. I think that's what Johnathan Majors was asking for and not what the prosecution manipulated it to be. But again, that's where we are with it, right? And it sucks that this man had to lose his career. And I just want to get this off the screen because I really don't want Grace up on my screen. I really don't. Because I personally, I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big fan of Johnathan Majors and the movies that he has been a part of. Not because he's not a good actor, just because I don't really watch movies and I don't really keep up to date with the movie scene and stuff like that. But everything I have heard about his acting thus far has been positive things. And I've also heard that he has lost a lot of deals, a lot of brand deals, a lot of movies, a lot of opportunities because of the situation. And I don't think he deserved it. So I can understand why this guy, this young man, would be confused by the verdict. And then now we have to sit down and we have to wait for them to hand down a sentence. And then now we have to sit and watch the justice system once again screw over another black man. And it's not nice to watch, especially a black a successful one in Hollywood, a successful one who literally ran the fuck away from a white crazy ass woman. And I'm going to say it that way because it is the absolute truth. We just watched it on video for those of you who are looking at this on YouTube, and it does not look pretty. And it shows how easily certain things can be manipulated, right? It's like he's saying, this is what happened and this is how it happened. And then you can see how the prosecution twists and turns certain things and how certain manipulative things can happen with women, white women in particular, as it relates to the interracial relationships. And this is just me piggybacking on what Dr. Umar said the other day, how they can kind of twist the words and twist up certain things and manipulate situations to seem like the victim when they're actually the aggressors in the situations and bring a black man down to his knees. Now, Johnathan Majors has a lot of cleaning up to do. And when we do see what his sentence is going to be, and I hope they decide to be very lenient on this because whatever bruises she did experience were superficial. And he also experienced bruises, but again, that was inadmissible, right? So we don't get to talk about Bruno, right? But anyway, as it relates to this, I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts and opinion on this situation. I don't think it is a pretty thing. I don't think it's a good thing to watch. And good luck to Johnathan Majors. Good luck to Megan Good. And I actually look forward to their relationship. And you know what? It's funny because God does work in mysterious ways. Because when we did, oh my God, this thing is so annoying. Why are these people being so annoying? Stop texting me. But I'm sorry about that. I feel like God does work in mysterious ways because now in light of all of that, and if he does get back on his feet in terms of his career and everything, which you know what, God will get him there. He will now have the right woman beside him. That woman that is like a Michelle Obama, that woman that is like a Coretta Scott King, who was there for him when he was on his face, who now deserves to be uplifted when he is on top. So I just can't wait for him to get over this hurdle and get back to experiencing good and better days. And honestly, this made him even more known, right? And it sucks that his career did take a hit, right? But we now also get to see him be a sacrificial lamb for the racist judicial system that we have here in America. So it's a lot of moving pieces that is going on with this case, but we'll see. We'll see how this situation unfolds. But hey, I want to hear you guys' thoughts and comments for those of you who are listening to this on YouTube, watching this on YouTube. Are you um of the same opinion like me, where I feel like Johnathan Majors got screwed royally, or are you of the prosecution's opinion, feeling as though he really did indeed do these things to Miss Grace or whatever her name is? Share your thoughts and comments down below. I would love to hear what your thoughts and comments are, because again, looking at it from an objective news report, it seemed as if everything leaned in his favor. But then again, it was a part of an interview. So if you do have evidence showing something that the prosecution may have said that was in favor of Miss Grace, I look forward to hearing from you in the comment section, and we'll go back and forth there in a positive way. But don't forget to share those thoughts and comments. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I just wanted to let you guys know to enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll chat next time. Laters.